So I want to tell you a little bit of a story. I consider myself kind of like a professional consumer, not because I like to shop, but because I really care about a good customer experience, and I like to speak up when I don't get a good customer experience. Um, I'm sure that that hasn't gotten me in very many. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I was saying that I'm a professional consumer. And I really like to call consumer hotlines when I don't get a good customer experience. I'm sure I'm on the blacklist of a lot of brands' customer service hotlines. If you think about what your worst customer experience may have been, I bet it doesn't compare to this one. This is one of my favorite stories from the last few years, where this couple from the UK actually stayed at a hotel and they left a really bad review for the hotel. Uh, Granted, the review was actually quite awful. They said something like, "This is a dirty, filthy, rotten hotel run by Muppets." But the hotel, what they decided to do was they decided to actually fine these customers 100 euros because it was part of their policy that when you sign to stay at their hotel, if you end up leaving a bad review, you get fined 100 euros. So what actually went wrong here? What I took away from this example, even though I love this story because it was such like a ridiculous situation. What I took away from it was that the hotel actually failed to understand the customer journey. The customer journey actually should include the post-stay reviews because if you think about travelers these days, the customers look at 88% of customers look at reviews before booking. So of course, if you have a bad experience, even if you have a good experience, you're going to end up leaving a review. Rather than addressing the customer's problem, they chose to punish the customer because they saw that they think that the review on TripAdvisor is not part of their product, right? It's not part of their service. So therefore, if you choose to journey into that part of your customer journey, we will penalize you. So what happened in the end? They ended up getting a refund, and they withdrew that from their policy. But as you can imagine, what the hotel sustains in this example is that their reputation has been greatly damaged, and they're butt of the joke. So a little bit about why I care. So I'm a co-founder of Carevoice, which is actually a Batch 10 Chinaccelerator company. I've been, as Oscar said, thank you. I've been pretty active as a mentor in Chinaccelerator, working with a lot of the companies to help them improve their customer experience or their customer journey. My company actually, Carevoice, got its start as a TripAdvisor for hospitals. So my co-founder, Sebastian, actually wrote this on a post-it note as his original business idea. We got our start as an independent reviews platform for hospitals. So basically you rate your experience with the hospital that you went to. And so far I have not heard of any hospitals wanting to actually fine any of our customers for leaving a bad review for them. Our product was founded on the basis of China having very low satisfaction in healthcare. And in fact, actually, hospitals and physicians really like reviews. This was something that we found online a couple days ago that a physician from the hospital that we list actually said, hey, I just found out about the Carevoice, and I hope that I found a good review about us. Over time, actually, why this is important to me is that our business has been built around customer experience. So we've actually set out as our mission to help insurers digitalize and personalize the healthcare journey for members. I won't do too much self-promotion anymore. So who else cares about customer experience? Obviously these brands, right? Brands with the strongest customer experiences don't just let it happen. They take time to proactively innovate and create forward-thinking customer solutions. But yeah, sure, you say we're startups. We don't really have the budget of these kind of brands to improve our customer experience. So what can startups afford to do about customer experience? I have 3 takeaways from my experience, both working in the corporate world and also with the different startups in Chinaccelerator. One, I think the first thing to really understand is where your customer touch points come from. Your customer touch points can be way beyond just where your customers come to visit your product. Take the example of retail, right? So your customer experience could be, pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase. These are all the different places that they reach you. And in the example of a product, or let's say a digital product, like somebody learning about your product on social media, that's a touch point. I've worked with a lot of CA companies actually right on this process, and as obvious as they may be, they always get kind of surprised when they say, "Oh, you mean I can control that experience?" Yeah, of course you can. If it's a customer touch point for you, it's up to you to make it a good experience for your customers. Number 2, I would say, so the customer touch points actually make up the overall customer journey. So continuously improving the customer journey by mapping out the customer journey to different functions in your company or to different features in your product, and continuously improve on that. Define metrics along the journey. So this is an example of like a utilities company. One of the things that they measure is how long their customer service calls take. And they continue to measure that as part of their customer journey to improve their product. And then really listen to your customers. So it doesn't cost that much to listen to your customers. You can see what they talked about in reviews or in social media. And number 3, I would say the final one, is really just to make it simple. The more simple, this is an example of a patient reporting. Just by simplifying the design, you actually get a call to action for somebody's medical profile. Simplicity also increases loyalty. This is a research that was done by Siegel and Gale saying that 75% of consumers are willing to spend recommend a brand because it's simpler. Customers will also pay more when you have a simpler experience. And my final advice on that is that, the simpler you make your customer journey, the more likely your customers will actually repeat that journey and come back. That means more money for you. So some practical advice for startups. You don't need to pay a lot of money to improve your customer experience. You don't need fancy tools like chatbot and CRM software to engage with your customers. You can have everyone on your team, for example, read your customer service messages and regularly speak to your customers about how they use your product. You don't have to improve the entire journey at once. You can do it one touch point at a time. And then when you're designing new features for your product, always keep the customer journey in mind. A new feature should not create a drop-off point for your product or for your customer journey. So thank you for listening. You can follow me on WeChat and also Carevoice on WeChat.